we're going to build a loan amortization schedule. It requires the following information. These are the arguments here, factors. Annual interest rate, which is going to be 3.5%, the length of the loan in years, which is going to be 2, the payments per year, which is 12, and the amount borrowed is $20,000. Okay, so what I've done to make the calculations easier and to basically do away with the need to have absolute values is to put defined names in for these. And you can see that that's the length of the loan years, that's the payments per year, and there's the amount borrowed up here, written up here. Now the way I did that was, we've covered this before, is to highlight the 2 columns, the area that we want, and to go up to formulas and create from selection. And I've said the left column is going to be the names, and so the names over the figures here, the numbers here, are based on these names over here. So if I go click like that, nothing actually happens apart from they get named, and you can see them here. So we can use those names as we build up this schedule here. So what's going to happen is there are going to be 2 times 24, 2 times 12 are 24 payments. So here's the first one, and we build it down as we go to 24. The amortization schedule will have the following: the payment number, the payment, which is how much you pay every month, and then the principal, which is how much you're paying off your actual loan that month, and the interest, which is how much you're paying in interest to the loan company. You can then get a balance of how much you still owe on your loan at the end. The first 3 here are using built-in functions, so let's just have a look at those. To get the payment, and this is the same for any amortization schedule, so if you had to do this in a test or something like that, you would use this, is the PMT or payment function. And that is worked out by using the following. You need the rate here. Remember, these little things help you if you're stuck. It tells you what you need to find. And you get the rate by taking the annual interest rate and dividing it by the payments per year, so it gives you the monthly interest rate. Now that's very important when you work out the payment, because you can't just use the annual interest rate, because it will assume you're using that for every payment that you make. So if you're paying monthly and you don't divide by 12, you'll be paying 12 times as much interest as you should be doing. So remember that. Okay. The next one is the number of payments, and the number of payments is worked out by the length of the loan in years multiplied by the number of payments per year. So in this case it'd be 2 times 12, which is 24. And the last one that we need to be bothered about in this particular one is the amount borrowed, and the amount borrowed is obviously $20,000 there. So you put those into the formula and you end up with the payment per month figure. To work out the principal, remember the principal is how much of the loan you're actually paying off without the interest. So the payment is made up of the 2 parts, the principal and the interest. So the principal part of it is calculated by using the PPMT, principal payment. That's what it means, okay? And again, it uses the rate, which again is the annual interest rate divided by the number of payments per year. There's a difference here. This per means the payment period. Which period is it? And this refers to G4, so it's payment 1. So working out the value of payment 1. Okay. Next, again, number of payments, which is the length of the loan in years multiplied by the number of payments per year. So it's going to be 24. And the last one is the amount borrowed. And those together will give you the principal. The interest is calculated using this formula, IPMT, interest payment. And it's exactly the same layout as the principal payment, you just change the name to interest payment. Use the same arguments or factors in the same order. You just change the name a bit. IPMT is interest payment. PPMT is principal payment. So once you do that, you work out the interest rate. And the balance is calculated for the first row only in this way. It's by taking the amount borrowed and adding to it the principal that you've paid off. Okay, you add it to it because it's a negative amount, so it's essentially taken away from it. And you can see that 20,000 minus 805.72, and there's the balance figure. Now, to complete the amortization schedule, you have to pull it down, but you have to bear this in mind. You're not always going to be deducting it from the 20,000. Otherwise, you'd just be deducting whatever payment is from 20,000 every time. So you'd still end up with a balance of 19,000. I'll show you that. I'll show you where you could go wrong. If I pull that down for a few years, you see the balance never really goes down. In fact, it goes up slightly. Actually, it's still going down slightly, but it's not right. You're not paying off the loan in any amount of time that you really want to. So what you have to do is, for the second line, is you just copy the first line and bring it down. Okay, there it is. And then you adjust this balance figure. This balance figure is no longer the amount borrowed plus whatever's in the principal figure. The answer is quite simply, you deduct the principal that you've just paid from the previous balance. So you go and get rid of the amount borrowed and replace it with the previous balance. Okay, so that looks a more realistic figure because you've gone down about 800 there, and you come down about another 800 here. So that's right. So the one we used to pull down is this. So you just highlight the second column, not the first, and you pull it down to where it's about 24. So I'm going to say that's 2 more to go. Okay. And there's the amortization schedule. You can see that you've got every month for 24. You can pretty much work out it's correct, even though you don't know these figures are absolutely correct without calculating them yourself. But what it does do is you start off with a balance of 20,000. You know you're paying for 24 months, so you must end up with a zero balance at the end, and there you do. After 24 months, you end up with a zero balance. And notice, as we mentioned before, in the, that you're paying much more interest per month at the beginning than you are at the end. You're paying like $2.51 interest in the last month, but $58 in the first. So the interest is heavily loaded towards the front of the payment schedule.